saying, fools and their money. There are always enough fools with money to for others to take advantage of, I'm afraid. 2 minutes to go.
It's not a scam. It's a genuine practice used. Telstra's venture capital arm, Telstra Ventures, is an investor in Esport startup Skills, which listed in the United States in December through one of these companies. Lots of other people get involved in them. The investors, some investors here reckon that they should happen here, but as you say, it looks like a scam. But it's the genuine. Well, it's a genuine business mechanism over there.
Yeah, if it looks like a scam, feels like a scam, it is a scam. Well, yeah, people will put their money into anything. And if you're silly enough to do it, well, you probably deserve to lose it. That's my view. There are plenty of legitimate things you can put your money into and get a return. But of course, some people are greedy and they can't help themselves. Anyway, it's 11 o'clock. I need a cough button. It's 11 o'clock, so we may as well get started. So, one more listener and away we'll go. That sounds like Don, is that right? Bravo India Golf? Okay, Don, you're on the list. All right, well, get out your pens and bits of paper and whatever else you use to write this down, and I'll give you the list. After myself is Steve, VK3 Hotel Kilo, followed by Drew, VK3 X-Ray Uniform, then Kevin, VK3 CKL, Michael, VK3 Delta Charlie Papa, Laurie, VK3 Sierra Juliet, and Don over the other side of the bay, VK3 Bravo India Golf. Anyone else? Doesn't sound like it. Well, very good morning to everybody on this coolish sort of a morning. And a very good morning and thank you for coming up, and a very good morning to all our listeners out there in Radio Land, including to their wireless sets, and to our many listeners on Paul's SDR. And while I'm talking about Paul's SDR, if you are using it or proposing to use it, make sure you put your call sign if you've got one, or your name and your location in the little box on the top right hand corner of the page you're looking at, and then that keeps the system going and Paul doesn't have to stop and adjust it. Running the Homebrew 813 transmitter this morning, about 100 watts into the antenna, and everybody has got a good report. I don't have very much to talk about this morning, but for those who haven't opened your email from the MDRC, or haven't got it, or don't get it, our old mate John, through Juliet Oscar, has apparently been in the Box Hill Hospital for the last 8 days. He's home now, hopefully recovering. If you're listening, John, I hope you're feeling better, and I hope you'll be back on the air as soon as possible. So, sorry to hear you being crook, but these things happen, I'm afraid. Other than that, I haven't got anything much to report, so let's go around for the first time. Over to you, Steve. 3K3 Hotel Kilo. This is 3K3 ARY.
Right. Now, I've been walking around the house. Got to tend to this cauldron, which is bubbling away furiously, full of my chutney. And the vinegar really stinks. However, that's what we have to put up with if you want some yum chutney, which we do. We're trying to use up all these tomatoes. Now, only got about 8 watts on standby. That's better. Hello, Laurie. Sorry, Laurie. Turn it up a bit more. There we go. Yeah, sorry about that, Laurie. Forgot to turn the linear on. What else? Cooling down. It's definitely autumnal at the moment. I needed to plant some parsley. So I tried to pull out the old parsley plants, which are now about 3 feet high because they've gone to seed. And I remember a story when I was at state school about some fellow who'd grown a turnip and he tried to pull it out of the ground but it wouldn't come. Well, it was like that with me and my parsley. I could not budge it. There are 2 plants there, or they started off being 2, but it grew and grew and grew. So I said to myself, Self, what are we going to do here, sonny? So I thought, I'll go down to the shed and get the old pick. So I went down to the shed and got the old pick out and gave it a hell of a picking around the thing. The ground is so dry. There are 2 noisy miners. I'm looking out through the side window here. 2 noisy minders jumping in and out of the bird bath, having a good old swim, and yeah, they're enjoying themselves. Anyway, very, very dry ground, very dry and very hard. So bang, 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 got it all out. I'll zizz over it with the mower later on today. Chuck it on the garden again, do some good. Now they're having a drink. You idiots, you've just bathed in that. Dearie me. Little cutie guys. There I was. I walked down to the shed to get this pick. I'm coming back with the pick and I look up and what's this? A pair of king parrots, a pair of kingies, Laurie. On my the pair of stakes which I used to keep the tomato crop up. Here, these blooming kingies hopping into a couple of green tomatoes. They weren't eating the flesh; they were getting stuck into the seeds. Anyway, they finished off their tomatoes and said, "See ya." Off they went. They're beautiful birds, and they're so much larger than the other birds around here. Okay, that'll do from me. Now Drew came after me, so I'm presuming it's Drew. I wasn't here when the list was read out. I was doing other things. In fact, I was attending to the cauldron. So presume it is Drew. Across to you. This is VK3HK.
No others heard. VK3HK, VK3 X-ray uniform. Good morning, good morning. Hope you enjoyed your weekend, fellows. Thanks for doing it this morning, Roy. It kind of looked like it was going to rain here before. Some big black clouds drifted. And we got a few drops, but no, not fair dinkum rain. Thanks for news on John. If you're listening, John, hope you're well enough to come back on. Hope you're well enough to do everything, actually, pretty soon. Chutney. Have you looked at the Hell Drivers film yet, Steve? I had a misremembering of that film. I watched it again. It was worth watching again. It's a darn good film. Elfie Bass is in it. Sean Connery is a young bloke. The original Doctor Who. Stanley Baker. And Peggy Cummins. It's not a kiss scene. She comes out to the workshop and he's working on his truck, which they had to do in their own time after their shift. And they have a pash session, but it's not a kiss. It's more of a... I'll leave it for you to see for yourself, Steve, if you haven't. Now, this aeroplane disaster, well, it's not a disaster. It's actually not a disaster. It's not a disaster. Technical fault, engineering failure. I don't know the name of the engine, the aeroplane, Laurie. You might have seen it. I saw it on the BBC News. There were enough people on board to get film of the engine absolutely burning up and breaking up. two-engine aircraft. I don't know what the model number is, you'll know, Laurie. Two engines. They got down. I watched enough of the film clips and things that people caught on their phone. It's amazing. When the pilot got it down, the big cheer went through the aircraft. Cheered him. Catastrophic engine failure is all they know at the moment. The engine was on fire and dropping stuff all over the neighbourhood. Bits and pieces falling down. The main engine cowling fell on somebody's front porch. Bang! But it gave them a fright. But no injuries. Did some welding on the weekend. I'm getting better at this welding business. And you've heard me going on about how rotten my welding is, or how unsatisfactory I think it is. And I lent my welder out, my ordinary little one, my normal one, to our daughter's boyfriend. He's wanted to do a bit of welding. Well, he's got it at the moment. So I borrowed Charlie Sharp's one, which is one of these clunky old ones on wheels, the ordinary kind that you see all over the place, very popular in service garages and workshops. And he lent me also his automatic mask, which closes down. I've been only using a hold-up mask. I did have an automatic one, but it stopped working. And it seems that it stopped working because I didn't do enough welding with it. They charge by the ultraviolet light given off by your work. So I must dig that out. But in the meantime, I was using Charlie's mask. And with that, and his better welder, there's something about the welding current it maintains. The old-fashioned welders, a bigger transformer, I presume, better regulation of the arc. I don't have this sticking problem and the faffing about. I did some good welds on the weekend. I'm proud of them. So a good workman doesn't blame his tools, but I think there's something wrong with that welder, the little welder. It's too small. Pity Bob's not here. He'd have something to say about it. He's a good welder. Anyway, that's enough for me for now. Over to you, Kevin. VK3, if you're listening, Steve. Steve Langdon. Wish you could stay around. I hear you on Saturdays sometimes. It's always interesting on Saturday mornings. VK3CKL, Kevin. VK3 X-ray uniform.
Good, thanks, Drew. I thought a reasonably long break there, and no signal noticed in the break. VK3XU, VK3CKL, and yes, I didn't make it Saturday morning. I was listening from about 10:30 onwards, I think. But I did not trick of going to sleep in the chair, and as I say, woke up about 10:30, made a cup of coffee and listening while I was having the coffee, and then I think not long after I started to listen, I think Steve went clear. Oh, Peter was there too, that's right, yeah. Anyway, I'll try again next Saturday, guys, if you're listening. Anyway, good morning to all taking part, and listeners we have, VK3XU, VK3CKL, if I didn't put that in to begin with. Thanks for looking after the session, Roy, and okay on the news, I'm John, so John, if you're listening, or Jean listening, trust things are all improving there, and hope to hear you on soon. Well, okay from you, Steve, on the chutney. Long time since I had any chutney. Yeah, years I would say since I had any chutney. I used to have it in the fridge, but I guess it got used up and never replaced. The plane landing safely, Drew. Yeah, that was quite fantastic that they all got down safely, and as you said, it's lucky no one on the ground was hit by any of the junk dropping down on the soccer field or whatever it was. Had an early appointment this morning with my GP, and managed to educate him a little bit on what happens with solar panels when the weather gets too hot, the way the output drops off, and he had been puzzling about it apparently, but he wasn't getting the readings he expected, but I think I put him straight on that. I didn't have much else to talk to him about except to get a referral to the podiatrist, so that's all looked after for the rest of the year. Been looking here this morning too a little while at the lightning map, particularly the US. I don't know why. A couple of weeks ago I looked at the continent of the US and South America and was amazed to find not a single sign of any lightning strikes, and that's pretty unusual. I'm not normally listening at this time of day. I used to look at the lightning pattern over there in the evenings when I was getting ready to work some of the stations over there to see what the situation was likely to be, but on this occasion a couple of weeks ago I brought up the the lightning site, and was quite amazed to find that there was virtually nothing, well, not virtually nothing, there was not a sign of a single lightning strike anywhere in the US or South America. At the moment this morning there are a few lightning strikes out in the Atlantic, but nothing actually on the land mass of the US itself. A couple of strikes down in South America, a couple in Africa, but in the past when I have looked, which was usually about 6 hours later than this, about 8 hours later than this, the big lightning strikes all over the states, but as I say, it's been remarkable lately that how little thunderstorm activity there's been. And of course they've got snow covering everywhere, perhaps that's what the reason is. The situation in Texas with all the windmills freezing up because of the cold and all without power, and no alternative means of power in that situation, which is pretty short-sighted, but that's the way the world is going, and we'll probably end up that way ourselves too. Done a bit more antenna work. At the moment I've put a counterpoise on it, on the system, but it's only an 1/8 fraction more than 1/8 of a wavelength, and can't tell that it's made any difference on signals I've heard so far this morning, except my noise level seems lower. The noise level shown up on the S meter is usual. In fact, I've been a little bit stronger than it sometimes is, but listening it just seems to be a cleaner sort of sound, but it might be all changed again tomorrow, so we'll tell anyway. And I've got a few more changes I want to make to the antenna. Also looked up my piece of 300 ohm, yeah, the slotted feeder, I think it's, no, it's not 300 ohm, it's 450 ohm or something, I think, the type of stuff I mean, with the windows in it. For some reason it's in 3 pieces. I don't know how it got into 3 pieces. I can't remember chopping it into 3. I remember chopping it into 2, but not 3. But anyway, when it's all repaired and put together, it should make about 100 feet or thereabouts, so I've got plenty to feed the proposed antenna up on top of the tower with, so we'll see how that all works out. Anyway, raving on about nothing in particular. Did copy Michael when he called in, fairly light copy, but at least I could hear him, and also Don, I heard Don call in too, so we'll see how we go as we go around. VK3 DCP, VK3CKL.
Thanks, Kevin. VK3 DCP and VK3CKL. Yes, we copied quite well this morning. Noise level's only about S9. Struggling with Steve, we were pretty linear on, but that was fine. So good morning everyone, nice to be on there. So to hear about John's hospitalisation. I haven't heard John on air for ages, so I don't know whether I've just been missing him or he's been not on the net. On the coffee break anyway. Well, otherwise all signals are good. Had a weekend down at Aries Inlet, and I had a nice chat to Gus on Saturday morning. Didn't hear Stephen, who was also on. The antenna down there is not right. It's something's come adrift up the top there somewhere. It's got an SWR of about 4 to 5 to 1 right across the band, so nobody near resonant anywhere. And I suspect maybe they've got an electrolysis problem or something to my part. So when I get the energy, I'll take the mask down and have an overhaul and get it back on resonance again. The other thing, the weather was quite good down there, not too hot. Aries Inlet has become a hotbed of infection at the moment. It's got Wasp River virus being spread by mosquitoes across the Bellarine Peninsula, which is a nasty disease. But it's also got Buru virus, B-U-R-U-L-I virus, which is really horrible. It's a slow infection. I don't know what they call the virus. It's really a mycoplasma. It's related to mycobacterium. It's related to tuberculosis or it's a very slow growing thing, and it causes an ulcer to just go bigger and bigger and becomes quite necrotic and causes a big problem and slowly responds to antibiotics and often requires surgery. It was first described in Bensdale, so it's sometimes called the Bensdale ulcer. But it's slowly spreading around the coast, and cases have been reported Aries Inlet, so we're a bit cautious about when we go down there now. Keep our sleeves rolled back down against the mosquitoes and wear gloves when gardening, because it's not a nasty thing to get. it's quite horrible. We really need a bigger welder, that's fine. I've got a welder, in fact my son's got it now down at Ryan, but it's one of those quite heavy things on wheels, and my welding was never very good, but my son is much better. He did a course in welding, and he all keeps it down right. Okay, that's enough from me for this time, so it's across to you, Laurie. VK3SJ to take, VK3DCP.
Thank you, Michael. VK3DCP, VK3SJ. Very good morning to everyone from Death Valley this morning. Rather cool outside, very cloudy, overcast, and a bit of a chill in the wind out there this morning. So a little bit more like late autumn than summer, but it hasn't been much of a summer. Michael, your signal here is exceptional this morning, one of the best I've heard. So from you, and it's very, very good audio. Everything seems to be pretty fine, so excellent to hear a good signal from you, and okay too on Ross River virus. I know several people that have had that. In fact, I think Ross 3ZZ's had that as well, and there's nothing funny about Ross River virus if you end up with that, but there's all sorts of bugs and things around the place, but I think actually they describe mosquitoes as being one of the most dangerous animals on earth when you consider the sort of bugs, parasites, viruses that they can spread. Okay, too, on the welding there, Drew, I think you'll probably find that you've hit the nail on the head with that a professional welder and a hobby welder is quite a fair gap between the two. There's also the issue that the more you do something, the more you get practice at it, the better you become, especially if you're doing frequent jobs. But when you consider the construction of the transformer in a hobby welder is nothing like what you would see in a professional type welder. They cut corners on the copper, the iron, and all these things causing the voltage and current to sag, where this is not so much the case with a professional welder. With their large transformer, as you say yourself, you've got a cart thing around on wheels, so I can imagine there's quite a bit of weight involved in that, so the transformer is probably massive, and therefore it can keep the current up when you're doing the bigger jobs. Hobby welders, I think, are just sort of like welding bicycle frames and things like that. I don't think they were ever really intended on doing some of the tougher jobs. But I think that's probably what it is, Drew. I think you've hit the nail on the head with that one. What else is happening here? Well, virtually nothing. I didn't do a great deal over the weekend, except tackle the lawns. It had dried out enough in the back to actually do that, and I haven't been able to do it for 2 months, so I think you can probably imagine the job it was to do that. But anyway, that's all done now. I'm still feeling the consequences of doing it, but at least it's all done. Sorry to hear John had been in hospital, but hope he's coming on okay, so if you're listening, hope things are going well for you. Not much else to comment on this time round, so with that, it goes back to you there, Roy. VK3ARY to take it. This is VK3SJ, and thanks for doing it, Roy.
It's over on VK3BIG.
Thank you, Roy. And good morning, everyone. Yourself, Roy, mentioned it. Steve, Drew, Kevin, Michael, and of course Laurie, and especially big VK3 big cheerio to John, J.O. with you, listening. So, still a cheerio to John. Right.
Okay, thanks Don. VK3KHZ. This is VK3ARY.
You'll have to be quicker, John.
Done pretty well. We've gone round fairly quickly. I don't have much to add actually. Michael John hasn't been on very much lately. He's been pretty crook on and off. He has been in and out of hospital a bit, but this is apparently the longest stay he's had. Just not too good, so I hope you're coming good, John. And that virus down at, or viri's down at Aries Inlet, they sound very nasty. Particularly that one with the sores that don't heal. That's been around a bit, that. It's not something you want. Other than that, I don't have very much more to add, so let's go around for the second time. Over to you, Steve, and remember you've got to put it on to Drew. VK3HK, this is VK3ARY.
Okay, I remembered to put it by to Drew last time. I don't need constant reminding. My two little noisy miner mates are back. They're coming for a drink, or maybe the different ones. There are three of them there now. It's fun and games. Morning, Donald. 15 dB over 9 here. 15 dB over 9 in Ferntree Gully. There you go. I didn't hear all of Donald's over because I wasn't here. However, yeah, this flesh-eating thing that's been there for some time. A friend of Glenda's, who have a house down that way, has this damn thing, and they're doing their best to get rid of it, but it's really problematic, very problematic. And the other thing, I think that's Ross River virus, isn't it? Long way from Ross River. Dearie me. And it's not very warm this year, so I don't know. That's a mosquito-borne thing from memory. Yeah. And they call it, what's its other name? Is it breakbone? Breakbone, I think, because it's as all painful as get out. Okay, what else? I don't know. Been out stirring the chutney. Kevin, I will present you with a jar of my chutney. There you go. You have two possibilities. The current batch is fruit chutney, which is the same as ordinary chutney, except you chuck in some peaches. And the other one I have already made has a little bit of curry powder in it. Just a little bit. So, whichever one you would like, I'll present you with a jar in the near future. Now I can take a look at your aerial antics as well. I think even with the addition of one radial wire, it has made a slight difference. You're now peaking up to 40 dB over 9, so you haven't been up there for quite some time. So it has made a little bit of difference. What else? Heard from Theo, VK3AP, this morning. He's been up at his mother's place at Rutherglen, and apparently they're having a bumper crop up there of figs and olives of every description. So it's an abundant year. What else? I don't know. It's 11:32. Maybe I should pass it on. The movie. I'd forgotten about it, Drew. You can give me a good thrashing, a verbal thrashing. I'd completely forgotten about it. I have it on a USB stick. Now, I had intended watching it one evening last week, but I completely forgot about it. However, with your reminder, I'll pop it in the TV, and we shall watch it tonight. Yes. and all this tennis business that's been on too. Glenda's been watching some of that, so that's upset my viewing. I'm trying to think what else has happened. There's Mr. Magpie's out there at the drinking fountain at the moment. He's lording the roost. There's no one else around while he's there. He's just standing there looking around. No, he's resetting his territory. This is the bloke I took for a joyride 13 kilometres away down to Cardinia Reservoir. It took him a week or so to get back, but he got back. And the time that he'd been away, another mob of Maggies came in here, and there's been World War III. When he got back, he said, "This is not good enough." And he and his girlfriend have been warding off these other interlopers. Okay, well that'll do. 11:33. Good coffee from you, Laurie. And I know what you mean about dry. As I mentioned, I've been digging over the garden here, or part of it, where I had the parsley in. It's like getting into concrete. It's been very, very dry. Okay, so with that, across to you, Drew. VK3XU, VK3HK.
Have a try now, John.
VK3ZAF. I just, if you can hear me, that's great. I don't necessarily need to join you. I just wondered whether it was working or not. Thank you.
Well, I can hear you. That's John, VK3ZAF, who's tried 3 times to get in. All noted from everybody. Good signal from you, Michael. Thank you for the welder information. Yes, I know it's a hobby welder, but for 30 years I've been trying to use this thing. 30 years. If experience comes into it, Laurie, I should have learnt by now, but it was the welder that was inadequate, I'm pretty sure. I had to weld up a little homemade exhaust muffler for an engine that we're working on, and I've successfully welded up that, and I'm happy with the result. Even such that the slag didn't pop off, but it just chipped off. One tap with the chip hammer and it just popped off, leaving a nice little weld underneath. So I'll be returning that welder to the owner probably today. Charlie Sharp lives over in Park Orchards. Not Don Vale, Park Orchards. I always get those two mixed up. They're very close. Yeah, well, you will enjoy the film, Steve, for the Hell Drivers. It's a darn good, gritty film. It's got a couple of good fight scenes in it. Patrick McGowan, he's the bully of the plant. He thinks he's the boss, you know, and he intimidates everybody. And he tries to intimidate Stanley Baker, who's just come out of prison. They don't know that. So he's a tough guy. And there is a very believable, if you like fight scenes, and this one's very believable. None of this fake punching business. I don't know how they staged it, but he's a horrible piece of work, this Patrick McGowan bloke. Red's his name in the film, Red. And he rules the roost. He pushes everybody off the road with his truck and throws his weight around. He's a pain in the... Anyway, do watch it. Good, gritty film. Has a good ending. But do look out, Steve. When you see Stanley Baxter, what's his name in this? Can't remember. He turns up at this plant. I've heard that they're hiring, and they put him through the mill. The boss questions him and gets his driver's license and so on. And already the girl in the office, played by Peggy Cummins, takes a bit of a shine to him. You can see that she likes this bloke. Anyway, it's well worth a look. But do look out for the man at the beginning that takes him for his test drive. They take him out in a truck. This nice old bloke takes him out to see if he can drive. And he crashes the gears and does a few things wrong, but basically he's all right. But he's a poet. He's an actor. He's an actor of the old school. Wilfred Lawson is his name. He pops up from time to time. You might remember he played the father in the original Pygmalion of Professor Higgins and so on, the old black and white one. That's enough of that. Laurie didn't comment on the airplane engine falling off. I thought you might have something to say about that. Perhaps you haven't seen the news yet, Laurie, or heard about it. I've got a trailer story. Quickly, Drew. I have set the timer. On Saturday, I was taking the slasher that young Yakova has been working on back to his place, and I roped it into the middle of the trailer and got it there, and to get it off, because I've been working on it over here, that some of the jobs were just too weldery and lathy, you know what I mean. I needed the workshop stuff to make a few things, and I took it back there to finish it. Anyway, I put it in the middle of the trailer, and that's the way you put heavy things, of course, and roped it on. But it had shifted. We undid the rope, and Mum wasn't home. She's usually there. Dad was there and his elder sister. We should have got them to help. They were no. She was out in the garden, the sister, and Dad was out in the other garden, and Paulina, his mum, and she's a helicopter. Anyway, I had to go and buy some gasket material for this little muffler. So I'll go down to Mud Parks, I'll get some of my exhaust gasket. I don't want to take the whole trailer down. I'll leave it here. And of course, I was in a hurry. And what you do when you're in a hurry is you overlook things. That's right, you guessed it. I forgot, I put a bucket, one of those big 20-litre buckets, to take the weight of the tow bar. Right. I uncoupled the tow bar. And bang, of course, the weight had moved towards the back, and it jumped up, and we both got a fright. Just as his mum turns in the driveway and she sees all this, boy, did I get a lecture. I got my socks blown off. So I'm in the poo at the moment. That'll do. I'll just beat the gong. Over to you, Kevin. Ladder line, good on you with the ladder line. Good stuff. It does work. VK3, cheerio, everyone. VK3KHL, VK3 X-ray uniform.
Good, thanks, Drew. VK3XU, VK3CK, and good morning to John ZAF, John, I knew someone was trying to get in, but unfortunately each time you tried, you doubled with someone else who was transmitting at the same time, so all I could hear was the carrier beating. I think it was mainly during Roy's over, and it might have been Herb Lewis before Roy, Don, perhaps during Don's over too. Anyway, let's see, chutney, Steve, be most welcome. I'll have to buy some meat. I don't often have meat here that's suitable. Well, I suppose I do have a steak occasionally. So, and whichever one would be acceptable. I don't mind curry, so as long as it's not going to burn the lining off my mouth, it'll be okay. So I'll leave it up to you as to which one, but thanks for the offer. Thanks for the report on the antenna too, and I'm intrigued as to the way it's operating this morning. Is from the noise point of view, as I mentioned earlier, signals which normally I'm worried by noise in the background. The noise is still there, but it doesn't seem to be as pervasive or easy to listen to. When Michael, I copied mostly, but unfortunately my Meals on Wheels became not long after Michael started his over, so I missed a bit there, but certainly better than I've copied Michael recently. Couldn't hear you at all, Michael, on Saturday morning. I knew you were there when you were at Areas Inlet. I only knew you were there because I see a bit of a funny looking funny looking carrier. But as far as audio goes, I couldn't hear anything, so we'll see what happens next time you're down there. We'll have to make some more changes to this antenna. The counterpoise I put on at the moment runs approximately south. I intend to put another one on running north, and as I said, the current one is only about 1/8 of a wavelength, so I'll increase that to a quarter. Put the one running north in a quarter, try and increase that to a quarter of a wavelength. And also introduce some of the spouting which is unused into the news from a radio point of view. Introduce that circuit too and see if that makes any difference. Anyway, all interesting. Cheers all round. Enjoy the rest of the day. Cheers to all listeners. Thanks again, Roy, for looking after the session. And over to you once again, Michael. VK3DCP, VK3CKL.
Thank you, Kevin. VK3DCP and VK3CKL, just for a quick final. Struggled with Don a bit, but otherwise all signals were pretty good this morning. I forgot to mention that I went to took part in a Zoom meeting lecture last, or whenever it was, Tuesday, and the topic was sleep disorders, which is a pretty topical topic, and the dangers of sleep deprivation, among things. And one of the slides which amused me rather well was, it said, grandfather had died peacefully in his sleep, but the rest of the passengers were screaming their heads off, which I thought was appropriate. Okay, nothing more to add. Thanks for running it, Roy. Hope to be on tomorrow. I won't be on tomorrow, I'll be at the hospital. Next time anyway. So with that, it's over to you, Laurie. VK3SJ to take, VK3DCP listening. Cheers, chaps.
Thanks, Michael. VK3DCP, VK3SJ, and good morning to you there, John. VK3ZAF, listening on the side there. Yes, I heard you call in as well, but you unfortunately did double, and I think only a few of us heard you. But anyway, good morning to you anyway. Drew, no, I was unaware of that. I've just had a look at it on YouTube, this aircraft incident. I don't watch the news here, and I don't listen to local radio. I can't find a radio station in this country worth listening to, and so subsequently I listened to a station over the weekend that's in Tacoma, Washington State, and they made no mention of it. But having a look at the YouTube video, that was a Rolls-Royce engine, definitely, that looks like it was on fire. And I would say that that potentially could have been very, very serious because the engine was still burning. Now, the pilots would have cut the fuel off. In fact, they would have initiated a engine fire, which would have cut the fuel off, shut the engine down. It was obviously a catastrophic failure, although something was feeding it with enough to keep the flames going, and the only thing I can think of is that the lubricating oil got that hot that it got to actually burn. But when you consider that the starboard main fuel tank is directly above that engine, the potential for a real disaster was actually there. So I would imagine the pilots, the first thought for them would have been to get the thing on the ground as quick as they possibly could, which is obviously what they did. But that's not the first time a Rolls-Royce engine has gone up like that. In actual fact, one of the Qantas planes, one of the Qantas 380s, did just this as well a couple of years back, and exploded and burst into flames like that. So it does happen, and usually the onboard fire extinguisher, which is in all the engine compartments, usually is able to put the fire out, but not in this particular case. So that probably would have been one of the worst scenarios you would get in the air without it actually ending up in a disaster. But no, pilots are trained to handle that. They haven't really done anything exceptional by getting it on the ground. It's just a case that they assessed the situation, took a course of action, and as luck would have it, the fire wasn't sufficient to make its way up towards the fuel tank area. So well done to them. Not a great deal else to discuss this morning, I don't think. A few additional jobs. Kevin, that lightning tracker that you might have been using could have been down, the one that was not showing any lightning strikes in either North America or South America. There is a location in South America. It's in Venezuela, which of course faces onto the Gulf of Mexico, and it has the highest lightning rate of anywhere in the world. And if you didn't see lightning strikes there, This is Lake Maracaibo. It's part of the Catatumbo River area, and it has more or less constant lightning in the evening for 320 days of the year. And it is the world's it's the lightning capital of the world. And if you didn't see lightning there, I think you can pretty well bet that the lightning tracker that you were looking at was down. It would be nearly impossible not to have a single lightning strike over the whole United States, even at this time of year, and especially with the storm activity in the Atlantic Ocean. That also would have been pretty relevant this time of year. So that could be the possibility, Kevin, but certainly if you didn't see lightning around that part of Venezuela, I'd say the lightning tracker was down. Anyway, that's enough from me, and it's over to you, Donald. Sorry I missed out on you the first time, but I was just trying to get that video up of the what happened with the aircraft. So my concentration lapsed. But anyway, it's over to you now, Donald, and thanks for doing it, Roy. VK3BIG to take it, VK3SJ. Cheers to all.
Are you there, Don? VK3BIG, are you there?
His carrier's there.
Okay, thanks, Don. Do you want to have a go, John? VK3KHZ. No, obviously he's not there. Okay, well, we've finished in good time, so I thank you all for coming up again this morning. Another good session, as we always have. And I'll close off the net now and leave the frequency available for anyone who'd like to use it. So this is VK3ARY signing off and clear. Cheers everyone, have a good day.